John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.
Hello, everyone. This is John Beverly, the businessman with a conscience, here at the Cumulon Village, where each one reach one, each one teach one. One brick, one building, one block at a time. And as we often say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we show that we care about the things that we do. And today, I would like to share a little information with you, and hopefully something that I say will help to encourage you to do better about yourself and for others and your significant others, the people that's close to you. And earlier I was talking with our elder Piaki and we were just talking about some different things and people in general. And we got to talking about family, and we often talks about business and going in business and how to go about doing business. And one of the things that we talked about family, and we got into the conversation about respect. And unfortunately, today, we don't seem to have enough respect for one another. We don't, husband don't respect the wives, and the wives don't respect the husband. Children don't respect their parents, nor their sisters and brothers, their siblings, and what have you. And it gets to a point where, unfortunately, it looks like everybody know everything, and you can't know everything, because if you knew everything, then there's not too much left to learn or to do. And I often tell people that I am learning every day. I learn something, and even with little children, you could look at them and watch and see how they go about doing things, and even learn from them. And he and I, as we was talking, I was telling him that, when we was growing up, our parents, they instilled respect in us, and we learned it one way or the other. And what I mean by that, and some of you know what I mean, spare not the rod. And my parents, they said what they meant, and they meant what they said. And within reasons, they wouldn't have you doing things, and they were nothing like slave drivers or anything of that sort. But we learned by the thing in the raising that they was doing. I watched my mother and father, how they loved on one another, how they took care of their business, how both of them got up every morning and went to work. And but they before they went to work, they made sure that we got off to school, got us, my sisters and brothers and I, got us together. They made sure that we was dressed. They made sure that our hygienes was together. They made sure our faces was washed. We had took a shower, bath, or wash up, or something of that sort, and that we had clean clothes on, and that we had our breakfast. We was fed, and then they would send us off to school. And I watched them, and I watched mom and dad how they made groceries at the end of the week. This was a day by day thing. This was something was repeated every day. And on the weekend, when dad would come home and with his check, he would give it to my mom, and they sit down and get the bills and stuff together, which is something I don't see practiced too often today. Not saying that it don't get done, but it's a way in. But in order for your children to learn different things, you have to teach them in one way or the other. They're not going to get everything in school. And I learned how to work at an early age. I've been a worker pretty much all my life. I've been one of the youngest people that I would say that I know anyway, that even picked cotton and down in Mississippi. And the reason it wasn't something that I had to do, but it was something that I wanted to do because I was always ambitious. I always wanted more. I always wanted my own money. My parents, they gave me allowance, not saying that it wasn't enough, but I just wasn't content. I always wanted more. I wanted to have my own so I could do what I wanted to do. I didn't want just enough to get into in a show to buy a bag of popcorn and a pop, and that was it. I wanted a few extra dollars in my pocket, so if I saw something else that I wanted, that I would be able to get it. If on my way home, I passed the store and decided I wanted to go in and buy something. I always wanted to have my own so I could do what I wanted to do for myself. And as I was growing up, they told me I was too young to pick cotton, and I begged and pleaded with them to let me pick. And they, after I guess they just got tired of me and decided, okay, we let him do it. And I got out there and I did pretty good. I actually picked more cotton than some of the grown folks. And then when it was the what they call whole horn cotton, which was meant the stalk of cotton was coming up and grass and stuff and weeds was growing around it, you would take the hoe and chop the little grass and weeds and stuff from out around the cotton so it wouldn't strangle it and choke it and kill it off, and take all the nourishment from it so the cotton itself can grow. And they said I was too young, that I probably would cut it or chop the cotton instead. But I showed them, and by example, I took the hoe and showed them that I could do it because I was the type that could see something being done and could mimic it well. So by doing so, I ended up chopping cotton, making me a few extra dollars uh, during the week. When we was out of school during the season of cotton, picking a little cotton, making a few extra dollars. So I always had a little money in my pocket to do something. I've always, like I say, wanted more. And when you want something out of life, you have to put forth an effort to get it. You just can't, like piggyback off of some of my other conversations, dreams are something to work on, not to wait on. So in doing so, you have to work on the things that you want. If you want clothes, you want jewelry, you want a car, house, I mean, you got to go to work and you got to save, to do so. So I watched my parents make groceries. So I knew about making groceries. You had to go to the store. You take your little money, you go to the store and buy the groceries that you need, and you don't just go. I learned that you didn't have to go every day. You can go and do a little shopping and get enough to last a week or a couple of days or whatever. It all depends upon your circumstance. And you would shop like that. I saw them sit down at the table and put the light bill out, the gas bill out, the water bill out, and and said this is the money for this is the money for that, and they made sure that the bills was being taken care of. So we never had a problem with lights getting turned off, gas getting turned off, or the water getting turned off. So we learned those things at an early age, and parents today, you can try to teach a child, but most of the children today know everything. You can't tell them nothing. But I tell them all the time, since you know so much, you need to do everything you need to do right now. Because when you get my age or a little bit older, you ain't gonna know nothing. Because children that's younger than like you now, and you'll be older at that time, they'll be telling you you don't know anything because they know everything. So on that note, I just like to say to you and try to encourage you, sit down with your children's, and show them and teach them how to earn money the right way. How to, if you earn it the right way, one of the things you don't have to worry about is going to jail because you earn it, because the first thing when the police pull you over today, when they check your pockets, and if you got a certain amount of money, they want to know where it come from. You got a job, you got a check stub, can you prove this where it come from? And if you have a certain amount, they automatically think you some kind of a dope dealer or something of that sort. So to avoid all of that, if you do things the right way, you won't have to worry about these different problems, having those different kind of problems. And like I say, our parents, if when they said get up, they meant get up. When they said shut up, they meant shut up. When they say sit down, they meant sit down. When they said listen, they meant listen. And if you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you pretty much know what happened after that. So sometimes if we didn't learn by listening in how to respect one another and our parents, we learned the other way. So I just want to say and share, these different things with you. Teach the kids what they need to know. It seems like little simple stuff, and it's somewhat is kind of simple, but it's valuable lessons. Teach them how to open up a bank account, how to save money, and if they start at an early age, by the time they get, if they start, let's say at the age of 15, 16, 17 years old, by the time they get 30 or 40 years old, they would have been saved enough money, depending upon how much they save, been saved enough money to get them a, a nice down payment on a house or something of that sort, or just to be able to do what they want to do. Sometimes people just like to travel. Sometimes you just like to go out to dinner. So it's good to have where you can go to the bank and take out what you need or have a credit card. And and those credit cards, they're to be used, not misused. You use that credit card, you got to pay that bill. And it's to your advantage to not just pay the minimum. I would suggest that every chance that you get, if you can pay it off, pay it off. But if you can't, pay more than the minimum. If you don't have nothing else but the minimum, then pay that. Make sure you pay that because that will help you keep your credit together. And there's something that what they call credit debt to a ratio. And what that simply means is that if you have, let's say, $1,000 worth of credit, and just because you got $1,000 worth of credit don't mean that you have to spend $1,000. So in using that, you spend five, six, seven, $800, and your credit scores is not going up, and they're pretty much at a stagnant area. It won't never go up because what they're looking at that you're pretty much using that credit card to live off of to do pretty much everything you need to do. But if you could just keep, if you got $1,000, if you could use say a third of it, and just constantly repeat it, use $300. So now you got a balance of 700 if you need it. It's if you need it. You don't use it just to be using it. So if you use say $300 and you pay 50, and you have to use it again, put some gas in the car, you do that, and then the next month you pay, another 50 or 100, but keep it hovering around that $300 area, and your credit score will build, it will grow, it will, from whatever point it's in, from that point on, as long as you could keep it right around using, say, 30% of it, and I'm not saying that that's what you have to do, because if there come a time that if you need to, you got to use $600, $700, or even the whole $1,000. You can use it, but try not to, you use it once you can't get any more until you start paying that bill down. But pay it down as fast as you possibly can, because that helps to build your credit. And as long as you can keep it in that $300 area, you'll see that your credit score will go up. Every time you look around, you'll be saying, oh, my score went up. And so when you really need something such as a house, a car, whatever, not only you'll be able to get the credit, but you'll also be able to get a good interest rate. And, people, they often are sending you, when you got a good credit score and they see that you have a good credit history, they will often send you credit cards and uh, what they call solidate. They want you to solidate your bills. They'll send you checks in the mail. All you got to do is fill them out and sign them and cash them. Well, that's good if you use them, not misuse. And you only use them if you need to use them. So, and if you need them, then just tear it up and throw it away, because it will come back to haunt you in the long run if you don't use it the way that you need to use it. So I just like to share, little bits and pieces of information that's good for you. I often tell people I like to do what's good for me, not what's good to me. Because when we find ourselves good, it's good to you to spend that money, to just run a credit card, swipe it, swipe it, swipe it, and get different things and have all this different luxuries and going out to dinner. That's good to you, but it's not good for you. You have to be wise when you're using credit cards and spending your money. Even if you got money in your pocket, you have to be wise. You don't just spend it just to be spending it. So Today, hopefully, I said something to encourage you, something to help you, something to give you something to think about in doing your business and having the respect for your mother, your parents, and your sisters and brothers. So this is John Beverly, the businessman with a conscience here at the Alkemalon Village, where each one reach one, each one teach one brick, one building, one block at a time. And as we often say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we show that we care by the things that we do and also the things that we say. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.
John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.